So Nisha, favourite character in Scooby Doo?
Obviously Scooby.
Strong choice. If you've never watched Scooby Doo, feel free to close this video and just silently weep. Don't worry if people are around, they'll understand. They saw Scooby Doo as kids. For everybody who did watch Scooby Doo, did you know that the 2002 live-action Scooby Doo movie cut out like a bunch of awesome jokes?
These jokes that we're going to be talking about today, why would fans be interested in them?
Well, because the jokes that we're going to be talking about directly allude to several running gags and fan theories that fans have had over the years. For example, there has been a long-running joke in the Scooby Doo fan community, which is very active to this day, that the long loping gait and just lackadaisical and chilled out nature of Shaggy is the direct result of him smoking like a bunch of weed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Nisha, you are familiar with that theory?
Yeah, because he's forever hungry, he's always got the munchies, and he also has a talking dog psychic, so it's
Yeah, and I think the fan theory, some fan theories at least, go one step further and say the only reason that people think Scooby's talking in the show is because they're all just high as balls all the time. And I'm going to mention, because if I don't, it's either going to be in a fact part below me or the comment section, that Shaggy is not supposed to be a stoner. It's actually based on the stereotypical view of a beatnik, which is a no longer relevant social group, things greasers from the 50s or something like that. Because obviously Scooby Doo's on the air for so many fucking years. So he's supposed to be a parody of that. Looking back on the show now, when beatniks aren't really a thing anymore, but stoners absolutely are, I think it's safe to say that Shaggy does conform to a lot of the stereotypes about them too. The one you mentioned, is constantly hungry, has a talking dog, just seems really mellow and relaxed all the time. Even the way he talks, I can't do a decent Shaggy impression, but presumably a clip will be in now.
Wow, my favorite. A double triple-decker sardine and marshmallow fudge sandwich.
Yeah, I can remember there were a couple of jokes that they had in the film referencing Shaggy being a stoner.
Yeah, there is. The most obvious one is when you see what appears to be smoke rising up above the mystery machine as Shaggy goes, "Oh, that's getting nicely toasted," and it pans down and he's cooking a steak.
Primo. Oh, man. Talk about toasted.
And there's another one that's slightly more subtle, where it's Shaggy meets a girl and she says, "My name's Mary Jane." He says, "Oh, that's my favourite name."
I'm Mary Jane.
That is my favorite name.
Really?
Yeah.
Mary Jane, for people who don't know, being a euphemism for marijuana in some parts of America. And if those are the jokes that made it into the film, imagine the ones that got cut. And before we move on, have you ever heard the reason why Tim Curry turned down a role in that movie?
No, I've never heard this.
So, for Nisha and the folks at home who don't know, fun fact, Tim Curry, one of the greatest comedic actors of all time, was offered a role in the live-action Scooby Doo movie released in 2002. And you might be thinking, well, Tim Curry, surely he turned out because he's above appearing in a Scooby Doo movie. No. Tim Curry fucking loves Scooby Doo, which is why he's not in the movie. Because, he was all on board to be in the movie as the villain or something like that until he found out that Scrappy Doo was in the movie. And he's such a big fan of Scooby Doo that he hates Scrappy Doo and dropped out of production when he found out he was going to be in the movie. And for some reason, the people making the movie, rather than cutting out Scrappy Doo's fucking inclusion and getting Tim Curry, cut Tim Curry out and kept Scrappy Doo.
Yeah, because isn't he the main villain
I think
in the first one?
Right at the very end, yeah, which is again another nod to the fact fans fucking hate Scrappy.
Yeah.
If people don't know, you can go on TV Tropes right now, and the Scrappy is the name of the trope where they introduce a super fucking annoying character the entire fan base hates.
It's weird to think though, because Scrappy is a puppy, and you think, oh yeah, puppy characters, people would love them because they're so cute, but he is not. He's the opposite of cute. He's so annoying.
He's immensely
so
frustrating.
Irritating.
Yeah, and that's probably the reasoning that the people making the show had, because that's generally what the Scrappy, the trope ends up being. And funnily enough, you go down that page on TV Tropes of the Scrappy and look at the examples tend to be young child characters who were introduced on the show, presumably by producers who had the same reasoning you just had then of, a cute character is going to bring people in. People love cute characters, but now fans end up hating them. And I think the best example of a show acknowledging that is the show, I forget the name of the show now. You're on a computer, right, Nisha?
Yeah.
Just Google for me, Al Bundy, show, ? And just get the name of the show for me. We'll wait.
The first one that comes up is Married with Children.
Married with Children, yes. Because on that show, if I remember correctly, they introduced a new child character.
Right.
Like, that everybody hated, like, because they were so annoying, because they were like, oh, they're cute and adorable, and they're like sarcastic and have all the best lines. I was like, no, fuck, this character's awful. And what happens is that character just is removed from the show and never mentioned again. Ever. And they have a direct nod to that character just like completely disappearing in like a later episode where you see a picture of the actor on a milk carton with the word missing on it and no one notices.
Here?
So yeah, bringing it back to this Scooby Doo film.
Yes.
What was the other jokes that they cut out?
Well, that was a single shot, and it was a shot of Fred lusting over Daphne, which I'm thinking, okay, well, that's like, a popular fan theory that, Fred and Daphne are totally getting on. But the reason it was cut is because the camera pans over to see that Velma's doing the exact same thing. And that was meant as a direct reference to the even more popular fan theory that Velma's super, super fucking gay. And the reason she always pairs herself up with Daphne is because she has a huge crush on her. Like, they cut that joke from like the first live action movie because they thought, oh, we're never going to get this past the censors. This will never be PG because apparently you can't show a woman having, feelings of attraction for another woman, despite that being completely normal and fine. Because apparently in 2002, it was a very different time. But I'm so annoyed that they didn't put that in and double down on it. Because that would have been one, fucking hilarious, and two, a huge payoff for fans of the series who've been arguing about that shit for years. But no, they cut that for that PG rating, and instead we forced us to imagine a live-action Scooby Doo movie where Velma's super gay, Shaggy is a huge stoner, and Tim Curry's just hamming it the fuck up. Okay, so Nisha, we've talked about the cultural touchstone that is the first live-action Scooby Doo movie, and I think its continuing contribution to pop culture today is the prevalence of Shaggy memes, the ones about Shaggy being the most powerful being in the entire universe. And there's loads of fan art of just Shaggy using Ultra Instinct, just beating people from Dragon Ball. And what someone did, some legendary big dick internet hero did, is take behind the scenes cast shots and then put fake text over as they're talking to the camera. Those Shaggy memes, they kept me going for the 3 weeks they were funny, but just all the petitions oh, we're going to put a new character in Mortal Kombat, who should it be? And the top answer was fucking Shaggy.
I think that's why I don't remember them that well, is because I don't think it lasts very long. But some memes go on forever, but then some just kind of die out.
It fizzled out quickly, but for one brief but glorious moment, Shaggy was the most powerful being on the internet, and I was all on board for it. Because people were getting really creative with some of the things they wrote about it. And it reminds me to a degree of, I don't know if it's still going, but I think it's this Twitter account where they take pictures of Ice-T from Law and Order Special Victims Unit and just put fake quotes from him underneath. Are you familiar with it at all?
No, it sounds hilarious.
Well, go look it up because it's fucking brilliant, and there'll be some examples behind me. It's just I struggle to think of an example off the top of my head, and it's going to really piss me off because they are very, very funny. And I encourage people to go, look up a few of them now instead of watching me ramble, because clearly I'm not on my game today.